Thank you, Representative Miller and Representative Nemus. The subpoena power is not at issue in this bill, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it today. But if it gets back in this bill, this is the type of bill I would love to see go to a conference committee. I think there have been some really good conversations since the committee hearing yesterday. And if this could get to a conference committee, this is the type of thing where maybe we could work something out and get something good for the people of Louisville. So I want to go through the bill that is in front of us today, and you've heard a lot of these points, but I want to give it to you from another Louisville legislator's perspective. This deals with local government, and we are telling local government what they can and cannot do regardless of whether they've asked for it. For instance, the settlement on page 5 of this bill. You just heard Ms. Hopkins go into some detail about this. I want to give you a very real world example of what just happened. The Breonna Taylor case was settled for $12 million, and there was a lot of uproar when that happened. Some people were upset by that amount. Now we see just recently that George Floyd was settled for $27 million. Well, if this bill had been in place, then the mayor, whoever the mayor would have been, couldn't have settled that lawsuit for $12 million. If it had gone to trial and a jury had awarded $25 million, the city's insurance company could have come back and said, we're not on the hook for $25 million. We could have settled it for 12. You guys are the ones that chose not to settle it. And so there really could be some real world ramifications from getting rid of this settlement power from the mayor that have nothing to do with partisan politics whatsoever, just working on how you actually settle cases and run government. I want to talk about the term limits. I think it's long past time we had a conversation about term limits for all offices in this body. But this bill just term limits the mayor. I ask a rhetorical question. Let's say that all of the events of the past year had happened in the mayor's second term. Does anyone think they would have been handled differently? We're limiting one office in one county even further. And by the way, that office is already term limited. But the people of Louisville voted to have that term limit in place for that office when they voted for merger. They knew exactly what they were going to get. They were going to get a mayor for the entire county of Jefferson for 3 terms at a maximum. We're coming back in here because we don't like the decisions of one mayor in 1 year and limiting terms. Maybe it's the right thing to do. Well, let's have a full-blown discussion about term limits. And I ask you guys, how would you like it if we didn't like something your county judge did and just came into Clark County and said, we're going to limit the term limits of your county judge and your county judge only from state government? Let's have a real conversation about term limits. A lot of us have been pushing for it for a long time. This doesn't get us there. The annexation piece, you heard Councilman Hollander talk about this. And Councilman Hollander, good to see you. I should say he is a constituent, full disclosure. But he's not my councilman, but I'm his senator. And he's right. We haven't talked about this. Could this end up being a good thing? Maybe. But we have no idea the ramifications of what this means long term. What we do know is it does look like it could potentially unwind much of the agreement of merger, where the cities were frozen and the consolidated urban services came in. Again, that's what the voters voted for. If this is something that needs to be done, let's talk about it. We have a state and local government committee that works on these local government issues with the cities impacted by them. I don't want to be completely negative. There is a really good part of this bill, and that is the Metro Council deserves its own legal counsel. I fully support that. But it's mixed in with a bunch of other stuff. And we're not talking about civilian review boards anymore. We are just talking about the substance of a bill which could drastically alter the form of government put in place by the voters of Louisville. And we're doing it on basically what I call the last day of the regular session before the veto on a committee sub that is the 10th version. And while I'd like to see a lot of this go for a conference committee, I don't think this bill is ready for prime time for the reasons I've laid out for you guys. And of course, the reason I didn't even know about until today, that 65.0037, that we're now taking the subpoena power away from our ethics commission. Something, again, I don't think has been fully fleshed out or maybe was even intended. So I have some problems with this bill, guys, and I ask that you think about your own local communities when you're voting on this bill.